Hey, good morning, Dr. Bob Flower. The Thursday, December 19th, Master Pattern Report. And here we go. Well, we had a couple of direct hits this week. We were one day early on the S&P. I'm sorry, we were one day late on the S&P. We had said the 17th, and we had, of course, the big move yesterday. And we were one day early on the gold call, which occurred, we had said the 19th, and it occurred on the 18th. So we're within that one day frame. We're still looking for a move on oil tomorrow. So let's see what occurs there. Now, let's talk a little bit about what's going on here and this recent run up. It, the, uh, the Federal Reserve is playing to the market, of course, and if you look back in history and look at some charts, do a little research if you're interested, and go back to uh, American stock market and economics from 1920 to 1929. And what a lot of people don't know is that 1921 we were in a pretty bad recession. Uh, we supposedly pulled out of that, and it was happy times because everybody was making money. Buying paper and just everything was going nuts. And then, of course, September of 1929, the roof fell in. So I would say that we're looking at the roof falling in, is the direction in which we're going. I'm talking to a number of professionals, and unless you're a long-term investor, the market and commodities just are not making any sense right now. But for those of you, for instance, who love the gold and silver, me, as you know, I'm a big silver buff. It's a good time to buy right now, I think. And will it make a comeback? You betcha. It's going to make a real strong comeback, because remember this: every economy, every single economy in history that has not been backed by value, such as the gold standard, uh, has failed. And I think that's where we're headed, and I don't think that next year is going to be a very good year. We'll go into some predictions for next year right after the first, actually on the 6th. But we said that this year, the last quarter of this year was going to be strong, and it is strong, record highs. Um, and of course, we think that's going to continue. You got your Santa rally going on here. We made a couple of dollars in our Nasdaq as options. Made a couple of dollars in oil so far. Didn't do so well with gold, but that's not over yet. So I think that it's a time to be very, very cautious. Do the research, look for yourself, see what happened during that period, and how they managed to come out of that early recession in 21, and then the type of scenario that was at hand. And keep in mind that a lot of the people in 1929 that suffered from the crash weren't even investors. These were just ordinary people who had ordinary jobs who all of a sudden didn't have any jobs. And money went from being free flowing to not available at all. So I think that a word to the wise is sufficient. Now, before we go, I have a worst person of the year award that I'd like to do, and this year the recipient is not only the worst person of the year, but I'd say he's the worst person of the century. Right? Now I know a lot of you think it's Barack Obama. He came a close second. The worst person of the year was Supreme Court Justice John Roberts Jr. spineless, gutless, coward, egocentric maniac who allowed this wild-ass Obamacare to be passed on such a false premise that anybody reviewing what his decision was about and what has occurred can plainly see that this was a contrived personalization of the law rather than the blind justice of the law, okay? This man was more concerned about what the newspapers and the social media were going to say about the decision overturning Obamacare than he was about the honesty, the constitutionality of things, okay? And if you think that, even with that, his agenda, and there's a dichotomy here, listen to what I'm going to tell you. His agenda is to release businesses and even individuals from the bondage of big government. That's what he's doing. But he's doing it in such a way that it's favoring big business. Okay, not you and I. I mean, there may be some peripheral benefits for us, but this is his agenda, okay? However, in the flow of things, what's more important than his objective was his own image. And for that, we give him the worst person of the year and the worst person of the century award. This is not what this country is about, okay? And we've got to get on board here. This thing with the wounded the veterans, which is absolutely ridiculous. We're giving $6 billion to illegal aliens for benefits, handouts, and we can't give our veterans, wounded veterans, $6 billion. I mean, in fact, we're giving the illegal aliens $8 billion, and we can't take that away. We can't take away half of it and give it to the veterans. I mean, you know, think. I don't care even if you are an illegal alien. Think, do you deserve it over men who have lost their eyesight and their arms and their legs and you know, and they're just complete wrecks, and their families are shot to hell? Do you really think you deserve that money? Do you really think you should have it? How about half of it, let's say? So at least maybe there's $4 million available to these men. Not fair. They don't do it to unions. We don't see the government cutting back on unions. Why are they doing this with wounded veterans? No, this is garbage. This is garbage. It's almost time for arms, okay? To walk to Washington with not a 1 million man march, 2-3 million man march, and tell them, get out. Get out. You're serving yourself. You're not serving us. All of you, out. We're changing things here, okay? And with that type of attitude, with that type of approach, things can change. And I'm telling you, it's going to happen. I just hope it happens in a peaceful fashion rather than a revolutionary, physical combat type of situation. And besides that, I'll tell you this, I think that if it ever came to that a lot of the military, a lot of the police would take sides with the revolutionaries because they understand what's going on. And they probably know it even better than we do. And the way they're treating them, the way they're treating the wounded veterans, they'll treat everybody. They'll take pensions away from the police and everybody else. You bet your life that's going to happen. It's got to happen the way they're going, okay? Other than that, it's a great Christmas season. I want to wish you the best. We will be taking some time off, but we'll be back. We're going to do it. Our next show is going to be on in early January 6th. We'll make some predictions. We'll see what's going on, and we'll brace ourselves for the upcoming year. All right? Do your research, though. Have a great holiday and a super, super New Year.